After a crazy weekend of all things Will Smith, we are back to talk the finale of Bel-Air, season finale of season 1, episode 10, where to. Adversary Najee here. We're here to talk about the very amazing first season and ultimately the season finale tonight. And let's just start it off as it is. The biggest question was the Lou casting. Everybody was wondering who was it going to be, and I have been pro not Will Smith, and even after this weekend, I'm even more so pro not Will Smith and him being in his cameo. It would have just drew all types of crazy attention for the show, and much like I said, it didn't need to be Will Smith because you needed to see what this cast has done all season and appreciate it. And man, did everybody hit home runs tonight. It looked like the All-Star game. Everybody was out there acting up. Every single cast member brought it to every extent, and it did not need to be Will because that's only what the focus would have been. It's almost to say, just like the Oscars, what did everybody only talk about?
Yeah.
So, you know, he's just that big of a star that you're only gonna talk about that. You know what I mean? But as far as Marlon Wayans playing Lou, I think Marlon Wayans is fantastic. He did an amazing job in what was the movie with Jennifer Hudson? Oh my God. Respect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fantastic job. I don't know if anybody realizes he's a good actor, but he really is. I know he's a comedian, but he's a very good actor, and this is a good casting. It was somebody who has enough of a resume that you recognize, that you respect. But you're not really going to talk about his casting in this. You're just going to be like, oh, he was there. It was him. I think your eyes are all focused on the rest of the cast, whether it's Vi, whether it's Aunt Viv, whether it's Will. I mean, I think this was just the right selection. So for you, what did you think about the casting when you saw it and your overall impression of it?
I thought, it was crazy. It was just like when I guess it was last episode when they had the prior Aunt Viv and Vi from the sitcom. It was the same kind of wow factor for me when I saw when the screen hit and it was Marlon Wayans. It was like, oh, like, I kind of jumped. I was like, my initial thought was like, okay, like you said, like, okay, that's cool. All right, Marlon, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But when they got into it, my man earned his check tonight. Oh. Like, he earned his check tonight. And what I'll say is, like, when you put it in perspective and you think how long Marlon Wayans has really been around since In Living Color days. Granted, typically when you see him, it's more for the comic relief. But even in that, his delivery, I feel, is very skillful. I got a chance to sit down and watch Above the Rim the other day, and I had never seen it before. I know it's an old movie, but his delivery and his presence in that was like, he was on to something. Like he had, he showed his ability at an early age and through the course of his career to get to this point where now he can shift gears, give you something serious and deliver, I think, beyond what people probably expected. Was like very much a pleasure to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to give a shout out to the cast. This is an amazing first season. I cannot wait for season 2 to return. Up and down the board, these names of the cast I'm gonna name, a lot of these folks are folks that people may not be familiar with, but I think that they all have proven that they have a strong and bright future in other projects, but yet alone in this franchise. And that's Jabari, Cassandra, Jimmy, Ollie, Coco, Akira, Simone, Jordan, Joe, Adrian, April, Parker Jones was played by, up and down the board. Even Michael Ealy, man. Everybody really contribute to something that really made this season work. Jabari Banks as Will Smith, total hats off to him. He killed it on the red carpet this weekend. I seen Black Twitter. I seen some googly eyes for him. So he's on right now. For this to be his role, he's on. He's left an amazing impression for the first season. And I'm just such a fan, and I really don't know how people didn't like it. If you didn't, that's fine, because you're not supposed to like everything everyone likes. But if you did rock with this the entire season, you're probably feeling like us, saying like, yeah, they definitely did their thing. Props to them. Let's get to season 2. So I'm ready. You, I want to know, what was your overall thoughts about just season 1? Whether you want to take my aspect with the cast, or you just want to talk about the characters, the show, whatever it may be.
I mean, I think overall the show is brilliant, and like I said, I felt that way from the first episode just because of the presentation. For me, a lot of the content that I consume is based on the visual, angles that they use, and then also the depth of the writing. And I think here it's a perfect balance. You have a skill cast that can deliver strong writing, and it's done with a great visual display, so it all comes together. And that 45 minutes is you eating, it's feeding you, you know what I mean? I thought it's brilliant. The camera angles, the scene breakdowns, the references, the just everything comes together how it's supposed to. Like, it feel like I said it, I think the first or second review, like, feels like Power. Feels like I'm watching Power. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, except just with different characters.
yeah,
But it always that, like, I don't think out of any of the episodes I've seen, I was really disappointed. Certain episodes I feel were definitely stronger than others, but overall, I mean, everything is at least an eight and above. You know what I mean? Like, they deliver the whole season.
yeah. Folks going to understand one thing about you, that you're an artist. So the way how you see things into your scope, you're gonna break it down. Especially when it comes down to lyrics, or when it comes to the script, when it comes down to the production. Like, folks are gonna know, like, hey, you got
I,
this very unique and talented aspect to it that. If you calling it for how it is, that's what it is, and that's what it's gonna be, folks. And that's why we're gonna have to do the reviews for you. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah,
But
man.
yeah, for anybody that's been following us for this entire season, we truly appreciate you all. Whether
Yeah,
you're watching it at
absolutely.
6 a.m. in the morning or whatever it may be, we definitely appreciate everybody's comments, feedback, and just
Mhm.
this amazing ride of a season that we had. And of course, we back for season 2, and hopefully we'll have some exclusive content with you all with this. As I said in the very first one, I was team. I didn't ask for this. I am reserved, and I don't know what this ultimately led for me to check it out. Glad I did, and now I'm invested, and I cannot wait till we got a few opportunities where we may be able to talk to the cast and so on. So we will be
Mhm.
working on that for you all, because this was definitely a ride. Now let's talk about the finale. Now the finale was amazing. Way to
Yeah.
niche everything up. The biggest thing for me, outside of the performances, is I think we are really starting to see the characters for where we know them to be in terms of relationships, in terms of just psychology, maybe ideology. I think it's all just kind of paved out to a way where we're starting to really recognize these characters a little bit more from who we knew them to be. And I think that still is interesting because there's still a lot of a lot of to play with here. We got Jeffrey not here. We got the kids actually rebelling against their dad and understanding that their family has been lying to them. We have seen the distress of what happens when Will goes off on a limb. Will is 17 years old, and I cannot believe he has not been smacked into eternity for the way how he talks, because there's no way that would have floated in my house, but my man really bossed up on a whole nother spectrum this
That's real.
episode.
That's real.
But you see, like, people they're with him regardless of what it is, and he's obviously having a very, very, very emotional day. But with that being said, yeah, I think that there is a lot to work with going into the next season. This finale definitely tied a nice bow on this season, and it
Yeah.
almost feels like the concept of the short, where we're kind of like, damn, they actually can do something with this. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is intriguing, and I think that's just really, again, hats off to all the folks that made this work. You really delivered a solid season, a good arc of storytelling for each of these characters. And the most important thing is what we all had reservation about coming into this is that, and you still honored and kept the integrity of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So that right there means that you have checked every box off in success for me. That's period.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely, man. The delivery and the presentation all around great. I like the fact that they tied up most of the loose ends. I guess there's certain, like, one or two things that they kind of left cliffhanger, but for the most part, it felt like, all right, I went on the ride, but I got my money's worth going through it. You know what I mean? And then at the end, like you said, they wrapped it up real nice. closed one door and very nicely opened that next one. And even down to the last couple of lines that Jazz said when he was breaking it down. It's just you here, your aunt not here, your mother not here, your uncle not here. It's on you. It's a lot of choices you can make, a lot of directions you can go, what you about to do. And then the camera pans out, it goes up, you see the city, the lights, it set the tone. So I thought,
opening the season and closing the season with the same song, Meek Mill's all the way, a good way, you know, to make it all come full circle. And to be honest, if this didn't have a season 2, this is a hell of a way to say like, all right, cool, maybe we lobby it to another network, you know, like it's a tight bow, you know, they did it so they didn't leave us with the ultimate cliffhanger, like it has to have a season 2. It would be fine if it was like this. We need season 2. There is apparently going to be a season 2. I haven't really seen it confirmed, but they did it. And we seen shows try to put too many eggs in a basket, don't get renewed, and you're just like, oh, that's how y'all gonna leave us like that for real? And like this is rewatchable and everything. I don't know, but
I'm glad on that note. Before you jump to the next thing, on that note, I'm also glad that the production team, everyone that was involved, stayed involved, because a lot of times that's the downfall of a lot of dope shows. It killed me when when Young Justice stopped after season 2 for like a minute. It was like a brick. And then I'm looking into like, Young, what happened? Because I remember watching that joint like on Saturday mornings for and I'm looking like, what happened? And I'm reading, such and such, one of the main writers left the show. I'm like, come on.
So for sure. That's for sure. So let's get into the events of tonight's episode. So the painting on the wall is Will with the crown, which is kind of paying homage to the original artwork, concept work for this. So that I loved how that came full circle. And also, like, let's just keep it a buck now. Aunt Viv artwork is tight, and I would definitely cop. And matter of fact, if this somehow becomes a poster, I will own it. Like, not even playing. Like, Avengers may finally come down if that gets released. And Carlton's like, crown, what does that mean? Which is so funny. They did bring up that and anything you want to jump on, just jump in there. I'm just going to go down a couple of little pop points and whatnot. And folks, jump in the comments. Let us know your thoughts about some of these plot points, some of your favorite parts of this episode, some things you had question about, whatever it may be. Because there is a part of this episode I was like, wait, what? I don't get it. But Reed came through, but he didn't stay around long because Reed is non-confrontational. He figured this was at best interest because of everything that happened in San Diego, but he did give full support. And guess what, folks? Michael Ealy did not play the creepy ex-boyfriend or lover or any of that sort. He was just a kind of an introvert of sort of say. He literally is just doing his art thing, you know? So there's that. But it was amazing to see Aunt Viv be celebrated. Her story arc, which wasn't always in the forefront, but I felt like they still handled it very, very, very well. And I liked it a lot. So that was a good, nice bow for her, saying like we seen her as a struggling artist to her in full-blown blossom mode at the reception, and everybody's celebrating her, loving her, everybody coming through. I wish they would have had like some more celebrity cameos here. That would have worked a lot to the presentation, but I'm still cool with that. Ivy Carucci is here flirting with Jazz. I mean, why am I not surprised here?
I thought and I thought they were going to expand on that point, but it doesn't seem that they did. The initial thought I got was when Hillary introduced them, she didn't say this is my man or this is my friend or this is my cousin friend. So in return, he says smack. Whatever he said. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? And you saw the look on her face. So I was like, oh, that's how Jazz is going. Yeah. But then like a little later on, you see, all right, Hillary put the stamp on it like, nah. So, which is what I expected.
Hey, I'm gonna need you to repeat that one more time because that's not what people are gonna think. Because people are gonna think like, oh, they're just trying to keep it low key. Nah, bro, you're right. She put the stamp on it, bro. She felt the burner, and she was just like, not rock.
Exactly.
Mine.
Yeah, like, oh, it's like that. Like it's, you know what I mean? She got a chance to see, like, yo, that quick.
Yeah.
So she put the stamp on it, and then to confirm it, I know you're there next to her. Put her on the phone. Hey, how does he know it? I seen y'all at the party. So clearly they wasn't being as low key as they thought they were.
Yeah, cranking it out once that's how shit be, bro. Just a little bit of intimidation, and then everything goes up to 10. Like none of
Yep.
that low key chill stuff. Everything goes up. All the like,
It is.
oh, give me a drink, and just like follow you know, all of the antics and whatnot.
And
But that's what it is.
and to that point, I think I like how their relationship and their interaction is illustrated, because you get exactly those vibes every time they're on screen together.
Yeah,
It's borderline, like they look like a couple, like way before, I guess it was confirmed that they're a couple.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
absolutely. And I think even if you didn't know anything about anything else, I just think like this just felt organic in its own show,
yes,
right? You know, you're
yes,
right. The screen time together was really good.
yeah.
Um, Lisa at the party. I ain't here for you, Will. I'm only here for your aunt.
Ain't nobody
She's
coming to see you,
still,
Otis.
yeah. She's still mad, but Will is in love, and
Yeah,
you know, the whole thing about it is that the conversation between two of them, I wasn't really buying into it, but folks, they're 17 and they're in love. So you're going to obviously start saying a bunch of crazy things, and you're going to be out here trying to drop some lyrics from their favorite B2K, immature, whoever else of our childhood, you know, folks trying to read the lyrics and then like, I'm gonna go back and say that, like, you know, it felt cheesy, and it felt like it was like, God, I don't believe that, because yes, they're 17. So to that point, I loved it, because if they were trying to have adult conversation and it actually started to sound like adult, and obviously somebody wrote it for them, I'm like, yeah, I wasn't rocking like that at 17. I definitely would have been more of a like, I miss you, where you at, I love you, 20 different messages, you
yes,
know,
yeah,
so we
yeah,
recall it, but
yeah.
you get the gist, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Nah, the hormones will make you wild
Wow.
out,
Wow.
especially at that point in life. Like that's the thing. Like you nailed it. He's 17. He's junior, senior in high school. It's
Yeah.
this girl that he like. He got a little bit of time around it. They had some time alone together. He's hooked.
Mm-hmm.
So when y'all just say my piece and I'll be out of your way. I just have to tell you this. I love you. Like that's exactly what somebody 17 was. That's
Yep.
exactly the line you would have fed her. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And whether, like you said, whether or not he's actually feels that way, I guess remains to be seen in season 2 as that gets explored. But I think again, from a presentation standpoint, they depicted that perfectly. That's
Yep.
exactly what a 17-year-old dude would have said.
Not that this is possible, but if there was one other person, like for instance, if Will had like Trey there,
Yeah.
it would have just been a complete perfect depiction of Trey saying, bro, just tell her you love her, you know you do. Like, yeah, that's probably not exactly how you need to do that. She's mad at you, but like I just like how the whole reaction, everything done. So that I thought that was very much of a good display of adolescence at its
Yeah.
purest. So
Yeah.
so anyway, I'm gonna combine a few things. Some of these things happen in time of the episode. Some of these things happen a little bit later, but I'm just gonna combine it. So we see Jazz and Hillary in bed, and they all in on each other now. So that's just that. I don't like how Hillary tried to play him on his number of followers, because that mindset is not healthy. But I love Pastor Jazz coming in this whole episode, dropping gems left and right, and made her reprogrammed everything she was thinking, which is going to provide a better quality of business owning, shall I say. Where we see her really now come back and now seeing things through a different lens, and that's cool, because not only are they just in bed smashing, but like she actually is listening to him.
They're building. Yeah.
They're building. Thank you. And I love that. And I think that with Jazz in the bed on the pillow, spitting all this knowledge and whatnot, this takes Hillary later on to the episode to go back to Ivy and say, like, I gotta play.
Yeah.
You need to also work your fashion like this, but also you need to buy the influencer house. Okay, so this is what I didn't understand. I don't even want to spend that much time on it, but this is what I didn't understand. Kylo owns her contract. He lives in the influencer house, or does he own the influencer house? And either, whatever that answer may be, if Ivy buys the influencer house, how does that give her the right to own Hillary's contract? I'm pretty sure that's a weird situation that I'm just like,
I didn't even think about that. I guess, I don't know, maybe the house and the contracts are all tied together somehow. So if she buys one, she buys it all. I was kind of thinking just, okay, if she buys you out of your contract, how do you guarantee that she doesn't then turn around and screw you over later?
Gotta write that contract to your
You feel
all
me?
the clauses and all the liabilities in it. You gotta just
Yeah.
maybe you gotta have Uncle Phil in there as a lawyer, for some proper representation that could help her out. But she still has not told her parents about that. But they will find out about that hotel bill, as she said.
Yeah.
Speaking of Uncle Phil, he's been putting in work this episode initially. I mean, he was at the reception. He was paying very close attention to her art and actually being able to relay the expression of the art, which means he's been doing his homework. And then not just that, he wanted to take Carlton to the track. So he wiped his hands with the election and turned back into family. And it seemed to have started to be a good day for him.
Right.
Things were going good.
Is a good day.
Yeah. Right. At a point of this episode, they started to focus on food again. For some odd reason, this is another episode. Carlton goes to the fridge and says, "There's no food in this house ever." Yeah, you two didn't learn last week.
Right.
You need to eat. Stop going out here starving. Y'all start doing wild things when y'all don't eat. You know what I mean?
But I think it was very telling how Ashley responded to that. She goes, "Yeah, another sign that Jeffrey's not here."
I love it. Yeah. It took a while for Ashley to have some. And it's not to say her character arc is not important. It's to say that her character arc was something that was off to the side. It is cool to see her contribute into the family arc.
Yeah, the main
and her being the catalyst of the investigation of where's Jeffrey. And she is cutting it loose. She says, "Nah, I ain't buying this. This ain't right." And she made the two boys wisen up. So I like that. You know what I mean? And yes, now they're all playing detective because they all know that Jeffrey and the information about Jeffrey is not adding up. He had an emergency. He what they say, vacation, and then he's not going to come back. Everybody got wrong information. That's crazy that Uncle Phil can't keep his story together. But hey,
and I think again, speaking to presentation, I think, and I don't know if they're looking into it that deep and they just think the episode out that much, but it again speaks to it because throughout the course of all the episodes, there has been a buildup of I'm kind of a loose cannon, so to speak, as far as my decision making and being in these clutch situations. And I gotta just make a choice, executive decision. Sometimes not always the best one, but I gotta do what I gotta do. And he's been doing that and building and kind of stepping on people unintentionally. And it came to a boiling point where it's like, yo, you can't lie to us anymore, or you can't whatever you think you're doing, you're not really doing.
Yeah, stop politicking, bro.
Yeah,
you out that race now. You still out here doing it. You know
what's up. Exactly. So I think that was very telling again in the presentation and the build up to this point.
Yeah, Aunt Viv decided that she needed to give Reed his props. This also confirmed that Reed, and you all may disagree because everybody, and I think you rightfully so, should be suspect of anything in terms of Michael Ealy because it's just how they typecast him. But to the facts right now, he hasn't done anything. He did say, "Does your husband approve of this?" And she says he is over those points, which is a good sign because I don't think that should have been an angle to be dragged out because we see that on television all the time. But she says, "Hey, I want to use your resources. I want to be able to build my platform to help new inspiring artists of color and women." All right. I want to see that come to life next season. I want to see if we get the ladies, the queens back. Maybe they may have some involvement with that. That would be interesting. But I like how they are now transitioning Aunt Viv into a new purpose for next season. That's going to be interesting. Now, Will's still hurt at this point. I just keep saying that like over and over my notes. Like Will's still hurt. But hey, he's trying to set up a meeting with Lisa so they can talk it out, and he's trying to get information from Hillary on how to do it and whatnot. And that had seemed to be the most important thing happening to him this episode until more stuff came. Because once Will pulled up out of the driveway, a blue Corolla pulls up in it. And what do we know? We get the back angle, and Uncle Phil says, "Lou," and I said, "Please don't be Will Smith. Please don't be Will Smith. Please don't be Will Smith." And thank God it was Marlon Wayans, which we already talked about. We can elaborate any more if you want to, but I thought it was funny that he called Jeffrey Jeremy. He said also that he was the one that said, your son is asking for you. He got on the plane, he got money from his church, and he came out here to see his son. It's been 3 years since he's been out of prison. He's an ex-con. It's been 13 years since he's last seen Will when Will was 4 years old. Now, here's where things get interesting. I kind of want to know your thoughts about this. The duality here. Will acknowledging that he got a second chance, but his dad didn't. And it had been, he had been charged with assault or battery, whatever it was, from an armed robbery. Was it armed? It was a robbery.
I believe it's robbing the old man.
Yeah. And he was trying to get money and whatnot. And he had pleaded his innocence, but Uncle Phil was his lawyer, and Uncle Phil said that he was definitely guilty. I mean, he definitely hit him with the filthy. Said whatever they said about him, he did that shit. Like he just he wasn't even with it, whatever. But at this point now, you know, the whole decision is just like, hey, we need to figure out if it's cool for them to meet. I'm not even going to elaborate on this much. Just the fact that Will declared that he wanted to talk to his dad. And yes, the parents, Uncle Phil, well, the aunt and uncle, they were definitely politicking like, hey, it's under our roof, our decision. But Aunt Viv was like, no. Aunt Viv kept it a buck and was definitely dropping gems in terms of how this needs to be thought out. It seems like Uncle Phil was not even here for the time of day. And I think they both were just showing different aspects of protection. But I just was kind of more or less relating to what Aunt Viv was saying. I thought she was being more rational and practical from all standpoints of giving a second chance. Didn't you just try to run for a position that you should have been wanting to give other people chances?
And that giving people chances may come back around again. I don't know if there's any plans for Lou in season 2. I thought the way he left his scene was very telling. Well, he made his choice, and now he's gonna have to suffer the consequences, not me, and walks off. So I don't know. He may come back around in some form or fashion, but I think there's, I guess, an overall duality with life in general, and maybe that's what they were trying to depict in this episode, because when Will breaks it down, he kind of explains it from both sides. On one hand, everyone said they were doing what they thought was right for me or right by me. So my mom sends me away. She's not around. My dad, whatever, he leaves. He said, so he feels like misplaced or out of place because it's like nobody wants me. But then at the same time, he can recognize that by my mom sending me out, she did give me a second chance. I dodged what could have been my death. I'm at a new school. I'm open to a bunch of new resources. I have an entirely different network of people. So it's like the blessing and the curse in one. And I thought that the way he explained it, like from every angle, like Aunt Viv, you said you love me, but 10 years you ain't talked to the family. Uncle Phil, you said you would give me a shot, but you was keeping me you was making me believe my dad wasn't in my life, and so he kind of showed that duality for everyone that kind of, I guess, he felt did him wrong by trying to do him right. And it's kind of that what's the word I'm looking for, that it's like those like almost contradicting themes, but that still bridge, they still connect.
Crossroads of some sort. It sounds like
and I thought it was interesting how they painted, how they gave the visual for all of that.
That's true. Also, I should just quickly add that Aunt Viv is not happy about Jeffrey. So at this point now, everybody knows that Uncle Phil is not giving straight answers. And also Will thought that his dad was away because he just had a new family. He thought he might have been dead, but he didn't realize he was in jail. So everybody realized there's a bunch of lying going on right now. And Will just happens to have a lot of emotions through all this is happening. And so when he found out that he was in jail or prison, he was kind of just like, so prison. And I thought it was kind of lackluster, but I did have to think about, like, he was told that he was just gone. Like, he just rolled out, which does paint way two different stories. And also to think that Will just experienced what jail ultimately could be and how that can change your life. And the fact that his dad did that, he would have had a little bit more empathy about it, I think. But Will smashed out.
And I thought it was very interesting too, I guess the way they chose to write it with Marlon Wayans giving his reason for why he stayed away from Will. That was very like that hit different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To break that down, yo, I went to go see my father in jail. It changed me doing it. I recognized changed him and me. I recognized it. So now when it's my turn and I got to go through the same thing, I had a choice to make: continue the cycle or break it. You know, unfortunately, by breaking it means it's total separation. But in my mind, that's better for you because you get a chance to lead a normal life without having to go through this change that I know you was going to go through by coming to see me. It's powerful stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, because I really feel like the real gems come out just a little bit after this. But but yeah, you know, Lou comes in the house, he has time, but Aunt Viv also had time and said, you do anything, you up out of here. And that's the nicest way I can put that. But the father son, they chop it up, and you know, this is where we start to see Lou kind of deflect in terms of his accountability here, blaming his mother, saying his mom put a lot of pressure on him. And I think he probably could have left with that and it would have been okay, but he did start to overstep as it being disrespectful. And things got intense, and this is just nothing but years of frustration amongst the two of them. They're airing it out, which is kind of good. That's why you didn't see too much hostility, because everybody realized that it kind of had to be this way, you know. Everybody was on standby. No matter if you saw him in the back or not, everybody was ears to the wall on this one. And God, like I said, for him being 17 years old, he was definitely allowed to talk any way he wanted, and that I'm telling you, I would have been smacked back to Philly and then right back to Cali and landed somewhere in Nebraska.
Yeah, that wouldn't have happened in the original sitcom. That wouldn't have, the original Viv wasn't going for that one. But I think I lost my train of thought with with them airing it out, I guess. The thing about it is, in those kind of situations, you have to be able to see it from the other person's point of view. You don't have to agree with them, but you have to be able to understand it from that perspective. That's the only way, bro, that true understanding is going to happen between two opposing parties. If I can't agree with you, I must at least understand where why you have that stance, what it looks like on your end for why you move how you move. I think if that would have been able to happen between the characters, it probably would have went different. But you have to understand Will is speaking purely from his point of view and what he heard and what he knows, whereas his dad is speaking from his, like, I have context that you don't. You wasn't born yet, or you was a little kid, you don't remember, you don't know these angles of your mom, you just see her as mom. I knew her as the woman that I was dating. Our interaction was entirely different than y'all's interaction. It's levels to that. And Will is not going to have that context. So despite what his father's saying, even if it was the truth, or he was like, yo, she was on my back, and not saying that her pressing you justifies you robbing somebody. But if I'm listening without my emotion, I can understand that the level of pressure that you probably felt in the relationship from her saying whatever she's saying, or her constantly coming at you, you need more money, it's gonna get to you. You coming home every day, and then that's what it's gonna get to you.
Yeah, and I think with all this that's happening, I think first thing in season 2, we're gonna realize that he's gonna realize, like, a lot of decisions that his dad made, he probably can equate to what he did on the basketball court of picking up the gun, shooting in the air, and it could have went bad, but he had some resources and so on. So I think you're absolutely right about that. But yeah, Will was just definitely reacting and emotionally hurt, and it was just an emotional trip for him.
So as his dad is saying it, all he's hearing is the surface, what the words
or he's that not hearing said. Is the word,
or maybe not even hearing, right? But it's like what is coming through, all it's just the surface. It's your mom did this, or your mom was did this that was negative.
Yeah,
and it's setting him off.
Listening to respond, not listening.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But even with this being said, Will is out of the house. He's pissed. He's like, I'm gone, getting all his stuff he does. And I thought it was really dope that Carlton gave him a last solid. I know y'all seen those dollars he put in it. The clip slip. Yeah, that was real. That was A1 right there. I fuck with that really, really hard. I love how they just brought that to life. Lisa, on the other hand, thinks that, well, Will stood her up,
Stood
and
her
when
up.
Carlton went to her house looking for her, she also quickly tried to make it about her, which was funny as hell. She's like, but he stood
He
me
stood
up.
me up.
Yeah, which I know folks are about to have a field day in the comments with that one, because a lot of people not liking Lisa right now. But Carlton asking Lisa for help and completely flabbergasted. He's just devastated, and he's just like, I need you to help this happen. Aunt Vi gets the call for Aunt Viv, and she is just, I mean, this one kind of hurt me too, because I felt that, and she was just like, a lot of regrets, a lot of just self-doubt, a lot of things came from that. And just to see the two sisters in both their perspectives is kind of just like, man, you know, it's a sense of maybe failure, but it's not. But I also think that they're going to rally together, and I can't wait to see where their next conversation go. But closing out this episode, which I thought was the dopest moment of this entire episode, was that Pastor Jazz found him. And again, who's been dropping knowledge, not only just this episode, but all season, but being the one to be next to Will, who was basically the one that actually was the first to be with Will into this.
Yes.
It was just the A1 scene, and it just made sense that it had to be him. And that camaraderie is on the way. That's what I am.
I feel like it's already there.
Oh yeah,
I feel like it's there already. But I thought it was brilliant again how they parallel the scenes. Episode 1, Jazz picks him up. It's daytime when they stop at the mountain and they looking at the view. Last episode, it's nighttime. They on the joint, same view. The parallel scenes, man, is brilliant.
That's storytelling right there.
Yeah,
that is storytelling right there. But folks, I mean, we expressed a lot in terms of our appreciation for this series, the appreciation for this episode, for everybody involved. It's time to hear from you all. So jump in the comments. We want to know your thoughts, your favorite moments of this season, your favorite moments of this episode, your favorite characters, your thoughts and predictions for season 2, things you would like. I think we're going to come off this Will Smith cameo thing for a while, right? And let us know who else you may want to see appear in this series. We want to know all that and more. Nigerian Adversary, we will be back for more Bel-Air when Bel-Air returns. So in the meantime, y'all stay cool and stick around for Big O Belt Media for more reviews and so on very soon.
Alrighty, man. Peace.